All right, welcome to our lesson 7.5. This lesson, I called it 7.5 because it falls in our textbook between lesson 7.7 and 7.8. And it's on box and whisker plots. And it pops up enough on standardized tests, and it's a new thing that a lot of people don't know about. So I thought it would be worth spending a night on. And while my picture might be cute, that's not exactly what a box and whisker plot looks like. You probably have seen these, that you probably didn't understand them that well. Maybe you have actually studied them, and maybe in which case this may be review for you. All right, so here's an example of a box and whisker graph. Okay, and actually it needs to go with a number line as well. All right, so let's say that this is a number line, and this is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, so we'll just label the even numbers. So 2, 4, 6, and 8. Okay, the way the box and whisker graph works is it's a little like finding the median of a data set. So what you would do is you would find the median, and that's going to be this number right here. And so looking at the data here, it's between 5 and 6. It's a little closer to 5, so I'm going to say it's about 5.4. Okay, that's the median. All right. This number and this number are actually pretty obvious too. This number represents the absolute lowest value, the minimum, and this represents the maximum. In fact, if I asked you right now what the range of this data is, you could take the maximum of 8 minus the min, the range is 6. Okay. Now, this number right here, in this case it's 4, and in this case it looks like it's about between 6 and 7. We're going to say about 6.2. These are called the quartiles. Quartile 1 and quartile 2. And what the quartiles are is they are the median of the first half of numbers, and quartile 2 is the median of the second half of numbers. Okay? So what you literally do is you take your big long list of data and you find the median. Then you look at the front half of the numbers and you find the median of those. That gives you the first quartile. You find the median of the second half of the numbers. That gives you the second quartile. So what you actually have is you have 3 traditional landmarks that we talked about way back when in 7.1. The minimum, minimum maximum we talked about in 7.2. The median, which we talked about in 7.1. And essentially you're finding kind of like mini medians of the lower half and the top half. Okay, and then what happens is you draw the box. You draw 3 vertical lines for the 2 quartiles and the median, and that forms the box. That's the middle half of the data. Okay, the whiskers are the first quarter of the data and the last quarter of the data. So let's take an example, already in order, of a bunch of numbers. And I've already put these in order. Okay, so let's start by finding the median. Let's find the minimum. Okay, so that's right. Ooh, I probably should make that a little bit skinnier. Oops. All right, let's take my blue pen and we'll shrink it down to a normal size. All right, so 3 is the minimum. Okay, 12 is the maximum. That didn't take much work. Okay, now let's find the median. All right, I don't want to destroy my data, so I'm going to underline them. So I'm going to underline the first and last, the next one, the next one, the next one, the next one. And finally I get 7 and 8 in the middle. So the median would be right here in the middle. The median, right between 7 and 8, add them together, divide by 2, or just realize that the median is 7.5. All right, now I'm going to take all the numbers on the left. So all of these numbers, all the way from the 3 to the 7. And I'm going to find the median of that. So I'm going to put a line above them. Okay, so find the median of just the little mini list. And so I get 5 and 6. So the quartile 1 is right in between 5 and 6, so it's going to be 5.5. Okay, for quartile 2, I'm going to put bars over the top 2, and I get 10 and 11. So right here is quartile 2, and that one comes out to be 10.5. Okay, then to make a box and whisker graph out of this, I would take a number line. Okay, and let's go ahead and do this quick. Take a number line, and let's go. We got to go from 3 up to 12. Let's see, so 3, 12, let's see, half, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That worked out well. 5, 7, 9, 11, 12. All right, so let's go ahead and let's make the box and whisker graph. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the minimum, and I'm going to put a dot there. Okay, and I'm also going to put a dot at the maximum. Okay, I'm going to put a vertical line for the median. The median is 7.5, so there's 7 and 8, so 7.5 is going to be right here. Okay, quartile 1 is 5.5. That's actually kind of right about where the number was. And quartile 2 was 10.5, so that's going to be right about here. And then I just take from quartile to median to the second quartile, I make that into a box, and then out of the box I stick a whisker down to the minimum and another whisker up to the maximum. Alright, now how this works is this part right here is the first quartile. 1/4 of the data is between 3 and 5.5, and sure enough, 3 of my 12 numbers were. 1/4 of the data is between 5.5 and the median of 7.5, and sure enough, that would be these 3 numbers. Okay, 1/4 of my data, the 8, the 10, the 10, are between 7.5 and 10.5, and sure enough, they are. That's the third quartile. And the last 1/4 of the data is between 10.5 and 12, and sure enough, they are. Okay, so really, what you're doing is instead of finding the median right in the middle, you're breaking up your data into the lowest 1/4, the next 1/4, the medium 1/4 from the middle to the 75%, and then the top 1/4. All right, that is a box and whisker graph. Now, you'll find boxes sometimes the box might be really skinny and the whiskers might stick way out. That would happen especially if you had really low or really high outliers. Sometimes your box and whisker graph might have a really wide box and the whiskers are really small. And that's where most of your data is pretty close together. All right, let's take a look at some numbers. This is a normal data list, and this time it's not put in order. So why don't we go ahead and let's go ahead and find the median, the minimum, the maximum, and the quartiles, and make a box and whisker graph out of this. So, all right, let's look through the list first, and it looks like 33 is the smallest number, followed by 34. Let's see, what else do I have in the 30s? I've got 237, so we'll put 37 and 37. And again, I don't want to cross these out, so I'm just going to underline them. That's an easier way to keep track. Let's see, for 40s, I've got quite a few 40s. I've got a 40 and a 42. Let's put those down first. They're right there in the middle. And then I've got two 46s, so one at the beginning and one at the end, so let's get rid of those. And I also have a 49. And then finally, I have a 73, which is obviously an outlier for this data. Oops, 73. Okay, so without spending a lot of time, there's my minimum. There is my maximum. For the median, let's go ahead and underline from the top and the bottom. We'll go all the way down until we get to the middle. The middle is right between 40 and 42. So that's 41 is going to be the median. Okay. And then finally, the quartiles. Let's see, 1, 2. So we're going to underline these in green. Top, bottom, top, bottom. We get 37. Okay, so that's going to be quartile 1. Okay, and then in blue, let's underline up here. 1, 2, 1, 2. We get 46, and that's quartile 2. All right, let's make a number line. And again, my number line this time has to go from 30. Let's say from 30 to 80. So we'll do 30 down here, we'll do 80 all the way up here, okay? And I'm going to need 4 tick marks in the middle. So let's see, about like that. That's 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. Good. All right, so let's go ahead and put the minimum in. The minimum would be right here. Notice the minimum is just going to be a dot. Okay, the maximum is also going to be a dot. That's going to be 73. That's going to be right about here. All right, the median, let's go ahead and put a vertical line in. That's 41. That's way down here. Okay, the quartile 1 is 37, so that's going to be a little bit less than 40, so that'd be right about here. And the quartile 2 is 46, so that would be a little bit bigger than 45, so it'd be right about there. So, all right, so that's the minimum. The quartile 1, the median is the red one, the quartile 2 is the second green one, and then the maximum. All right, if I go ahead and make this into a box and whisker graph, I just make this part the box. There's a whisker. So that is all pretty close together. So my first quarter, my second quarter, my third quarter, all very close together. Now look at the top quarter. It's this big, huge, long whisker sticking out here. Okay, and so that shows us that that 73 that we ended up with as the maximum is quite an outlier. Okay, And that's what a box and whisker graph can show you. So we can see that 3/4 of my data is pretty close together. That would be this portion right here. That's the bottom quarter, the next quarter, and the next quarter. Only the top fourth, this part right here, really stretches out. Okay? So that is a box and whisker graph. All right. So one more thing, just like with all the other graphs, if I give you a picture of a box and whisker graph, you ought to be able to identify some stuff. So this number right here is the minimum. So in this case, the minimum is 5. Okay? The number at the very top is the maximum, so that would be equal to 25. The median is this number right here, and it looks like that's about 14, or roughly. Okay, the first quartile is the mean of the median of the first half, and that looks like that's 10 right there. And the second quartile is this part right here. It's the right side of the box, and it looks like that is 15. All right, and so right there you have a lot. So you have really two new landmarks of data. We had the minimum, maximum, the mean. Now we have these things called quartiles, the first quartile and the second quartile. So you can think of that as the 25% mark and the 75% mark, whereas the median would be the 50% mark in terms of where the numbers fall. All right, that's it for Box and Whiskers. I went ahead and circled that last quartile, and let's see, the maximum would be right here. Okay, I think that's it, guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll practice these in class tomorrow. Also, make sure you got your classwork done from 7-7. Talk to you later.